From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, a show about Star Wars pop culture and the ultimate adventure. Your live calls talking about Star Wars. I'm Kanan, alone today, as you can see. Jennifer Landa, as she confirmed and announced on Monday, going to be taking a little bit of a sabbatical from the show for about a month or so as she finishes up her schoolwork and living some life. And then Joseph Scrimshaw sends his regards, but he is currently wheels down in North Carolina for the film festival premiere. I believe it's the film festival premiere of Dead Media, the feature-length horror film he has put so much of his energy and life and love into over the last couple of years. If you've been following along here in ForceCenter, you know that was going on, and it's done and out in the world and first big festival. So if you happen to be out there and you're heading to, I think it's in Durham, North Carolina, go support him, go say hi, and take a good photo. And if you're in the Discord, share it. And more times will be available for all of us to see the film soon. So today's show is, as we always do, a call-in show. If you're a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/ForceCenter, you can see the link. Get on in there. I'm very happy that we have calls ready to go. We got Cam Stewart, Jedi James, Jared the TIE Pilot, Dr. Addy, all ready to call in today. And the reason I said that is I didn't know if this was going to be the clickbaitiest of clickbaity titles. Today's episode is about your favorite Star Wars mentors. Now, mentorship is very important in Star Wars, but it's not often discussed, celebrated, maybe as much as it should be. But I figured with the upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu motion picture, we could focus on it here today because without a doubt, there are some strains of mentorship going on, perhaps both ways, with the characters of Din Djarin and Din Grogu. So I wanted to celebrate it there. So your calls today are going to be about your favorite Star Wars mentors and maybe some of your favorite scenes and some of the favorite lessons. But we could also discuss what that has meant to you and what those Star Wars mentors have meant in your own life. Is there advice that you've taken from them? Is there advice that you wish you did take from them? Or are there things that have been said in Star Wars that have helped you or you have used to help others? This has come up for me in my own life recently with Yoda's classic words, even do or do not, there's not try, or there's no try, has come up in discussions I've had both in therapy with friends of just what that really means. The idea of releasing yourself from the results, that you aren't necessarily the results, but it is the commitment and is the actions and is the journey towards it. Valuable stuff. And I still love that Yoda and Obi-Wan are perhaps the original Star Wars mentors as presented. And we can still go back, especially if you're my generation, we can still go back to 1980 and pull forward not only what was said then, but find new meanings in it. And that's some of the value of Star Wars there. So we got a lot of great comments coming in. Amaranth, who made her debut last week on Calling In, can't join today, but I'll be thinking of this great community to listen to the Boston Pops on tour performing Star Wars music from the 9 saga films. That is an absolute joy there. David Mackay points out we are all alone with friends here today. Yes, that is me. I'm alone with friends. Hal Lublin checking in, the great voice actor and improv performer. Hal Lublin, we're blessed with his presence today. May the force be with you, he says. I have a feeling he's playing some Fortnite. That's what's going on. Win one for me, Hal. Go to Crown Town. Super Chat's already coming in, and I appreciate those. If you have Super Chats to help support the show as we inch forward with our operation, we appreciate that. Quadface, thank you for your generous Super Chat. Howdy, I listened to the podcast from the other day about episode 3 when Anakin had the Force dream. What was the Force trying to tell him? I think the Force, it's a great question. I wish we had Joseph's eloquence to answer this one. When a vision or something is there, I think it could be a warning from the Force, could be a wake-up call from the Force. So that makes me think of the prologue from The Last Jedi novelization, Jason Fry's adaptation of the film, and a scene that was much talked about. The prologue came out, and it was this Luke, if he had stayed on Tatooine, Luke, if he had never gotten involved and followed Obi-Wan on some damn fool idealistic crusade. And the headlines, the articles, and all the little clickbaity pop culture news sites were that Luke had a wife, and it talked about, I think it was him and Cammy, right? That they would have gotten married and this and that. That was fun because it was, again, a possibility of what if and maybe what would have happened. But that whole thing to me was the Force reaching out to Luke. Luke, of course, had cut himself off, as we had learned at the end of Force Awakens. And that was the Force saying, I'll borrow a religious term, a biblical phrase of the rocks crying out, meaning, hey, if you're not praising God, the rocks will cry out. I think that was the Force's version of that, saying, if you've cut yourself off, Luke, that's the wrong thing to do. And I'm going to give you a vision, the Force saying this, we're going to give you a vision of what could have been if you never gotten involved, much like you are now. And you got to find your way forward through that. So I think going to Anakin, I think the Force was kind of reaching out, and some could say maybe there was some manipulation from Palpatine and everything. I don't even follow those theories, but I think it was Force kind of saying, hey, this could happen if you don't let go, or this will happen, and how are you going to react to it? I think it was a warning, and maybe not even a test, but just like the Force trying to communicate to Anakin and to get through to him. And he maybe took it the wrong way. But that's just kind of an off-the-cuff interpretation from me. All right. James Hope's checking in from the UK. Sidious, just think of his impact, as Stu said. Yes, he's a great Star Wars mentor. Absolutely. What life lessons, James, have you taken from Sidious? Detective McCarcel, just want to say Obi-Wan in honor of Joseph and myself. Yes, Detective McCarcel, that is a good answer. So, great comments already coming in here. And we got, it's a wonderful Forces, Kyle. We got a comment here, mostly Wizard. Luthen's mentorship of Cassian is my favorite. I think that is a good answer there as well. Salad Von Bako, still one of my all-time great usernames here. Yoda, of course, he is and always will be my mentor. I will always remember being a kid and seeing Empire Strikes Back with my older sister and her telling me I had to like him because he was smart. True. Gaz, checking in. I really enjoy Han and The Force Awakens being a mentor to Rey and Finn at the start of the journey. Han being a father, older and wiser. Parties and experience to the next generation. Yeah, important stuff there. Generational exchange is at the center of so many Star Wars stories, and without a doubt, I think it's going to be the center of the Mandalorian Grogu. Again, I think it's going to be mentorship in both ways, perhaps, but also the part of the lesson that I think Yoda is speaking to Luke about in The Last Jedi of we are what they grow beyond. And I think Din's going to be wrestling with that as well. So let's go ahead. No further delay. Hal stopped his Fortnite round quick, just long enough to say Leia was a pretty decent mentor to the entire rebellion from a certain point of view. Actually, I agree with that as well. It was her rebellion, as George said back in the day. Let's take audio. As I always say, if you're calling in using the StreamYard link that I have in Patreon, this is video first, but if you're unable to do video, just don't turn it on so I can see it and get your audio into the show. Sorry, I wrapped up in my own cables. So our Romo says, yeah, Romo of the Galactic Podcast is playing Fortnite with Hal right now. I know. The reason I know is 10 minutes before the show, I was playing Fortnite with both of them. So I'm trying to get back there. Let's take a first call from Cameron Stewart checking in. Then we got Jedi James, Jared the TIE Pilot. That's the batting lineup there. So Cam, welcome to the show.
Hello there. Thanks for having us, as always.
Our absolute pleasure there.
So this prompt, it's absolutely interesting. I don't know if it's clickbaity, but it got me thinking about how many mentors there are in Star Wars. Because I was like, okay, is it going to be like Luke or Obi-Wan or Qui-Gon or Yoda? And then I just thought of like every show we have and this plethora of new mentors that we have.
Yeah.
And then I just went back to Yoda because I can't sort of depart from that being, someone said he will always be my mentor. Yeah. And I, excuse me, I think what's really interesting now is having so many different stories. We can see characters throughout many parts of their lives, how they're a mentor at different times. And I think now, having seen the prequels and the Clone Wars, we have in Empire Strikes Back, we basically have Yoda in his final form and at his most enlightened. And those messages, I remember as a kid, my dad would always pause the movie and like reiterate them to me and tell me like, you need to listen to these things. You need to listen to Yoda say only different in your mind. And that is why you fail. And so there's just a part of me that, even though I am also a prequel kid and I immediately go to like some things Qui-Gon said, Yoda's messages are sort of burned into my brain by my father. So maybe my father is kind of the mentor here, but still like those messages of like, it doesn't matter what the difference is here. it's only different in your mind. Like, I do try to remind myself of that sometimes when I think something is even just annoying to do or hard to do. And those things come back, and it's just so powerful that before we had anything else in Star Wars, sort of the first mentor we spent a lot of time with was Yoda, who dropped some of the most profound wisdom in the galaxy and then just said, all right, I'm gonna head out.
Peace. Dropping the mic and leave it. Wonderful. And I love that you said, hey, you know, maybe your father was the true mentor here, and that's probably true. But I love that he knew that maybe perhaps one way to get across these things was to use the little green frog man from the space picture to say, hey, pay attention. I love that there. No, Yoda, I'm glad Yoda should be discussed. His catchphrases from Empire Strikes Back obviously went well beyond the walls of Star Wars, and you can make a joke about that. You could be a boss at work and have do or do not. There's no try on your desk, but it's just speaks to the importance of Yoda. What do you take from that all-time classic, do or do not, there is no try? How do you apply that to your life? I
was about to say I try to. I do imagine it as more of a message about committing to things, that you can absolutely try to do things. Not everything you do will be successful, but the thing he's trying to convey is like, just do. Try the thing, but all the way. And if you fail, or if you don't succeed rather, then there's something to be learned from it. Whereas if you hold back, you can't really know what you're even capable of. So I take it as just anything you do, go all in, or it's not worth doing in the first place.
I love that. I absolutely agree with you. And you know, I think that bit of advice, Yoda's words are up for, your own personal interpretation. So there's no necessarily right or wrong, but I think we're both aligned and in the same ballpark. I always mention to kind of detach yourself from the results, that again, you are not the results. But it is the commitment there. And I know Nemec later on has the, just try. I think Nemec would say it's the same thing, commit. The result is not something we can control. That does not mean you should not do it or try. So great stuff, Cameron. I absolutely love not only your answer, but your willingness to share some personal sides to your answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree that Nemec saying try and Yoda saying don't try, do are the same thing, because they're coming from that same vein of like, just whatever it is, just do it or attempt it and put your heart into it.
I agree.
And if I could add one, I'm sorry.
Please. No, go ahead, please.
My other choice would probably have been old Luke from The Last Jedi, but that scene even then takes me to the Yoda part of it all, where he shows up once again, drops some galactic wisdom about not just to help Luke, but literally about what being a mentor is. He's like, this is what it's like to be a teacher. And I just think it was so great to revisit when Luke is struggling, to come back to Yoda and say, look, I got some more about this. This stuff is hard. It's weird to be a mentor. And it was just really great to, sort of see that followed up on.
I'm with you. I love it. That whole scene is one of my favorites in Star Wars. Cam, I appreciate it as always, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling in. All right, first call in the books. We got Jedi James. We got Jared the TIE Pilot next. And I also want to shout out, we got someone, they were, bold enough to say, hey, I'm new around these parts. So Evie's here. She says, new here, checking it out as I love Star Wars. Hi, everyone. Please welcome Evie to the ForceCenter universe, everybody. And she also has the answer of Han. Never tell me the odds. That is literally hanging on my studio door, right behind this camera, the door into it. I have never tell me the odds, which is, meant a lot to me over my life, but also something I've kind of sometimes run away from. Han's attitude. I aspired to be Han at times there, and he's still a mentor to me as a character in Star Wars there. Neil agrees with what we're talking about here. For me, Yoda is the greatest mentor. He's the Star Wars equivalent of an old wise samurai sage. Indeed. Let's keep the calls going here, and we got some video ready calls, so I'm going to get those going here. On the stage now is Jedi James. Jedi James, I love the backdrop as always. How we doing?
I'm doing good, Ken. A little tired right now, but thanks for asking.
So am I. Why are you tired? Did you have too many cookies at lunch like me, or are you tired for another reason?
Oh, I wish. Trust me, I could guzzle cookies in my sleep. No, I just a very eventful couple weeks, but it's all for a good purpose. So
Okay.
I'll turn out good.
We wish you the best, and may the force be with you. But what is your choice here for Star Wars mentor?
Well, I have a sappy answer and I have a true answer. So sappy answer first.
We want both.
Sappy answer: Joseph Scrimshaw, Ken Knapsack, and Jennifer Landa.
Your answer's rejected. We refuse the title. No, absolutely. Appreciate it.
No, I just seriously.
Why?
You all,
What? Yeah, I'm asking. Not that I doubt you. I just, sometimes I need a mirror put up to us.
the way you just taught me to look at Star Wars deeper than I have before, the way you've taught me to apply it to life, it was never the same after ForceCenter. I'll always tell that much, and I still get inspiration from how you all approach this, how you all do this, and just so open, welcoming to everyone. It fills up my week every week, and I'm sure everyone here will agree with that. So thank you in the real life aspect of being a Star Wars mentor.
Absolutely appreciate that, and look, we always say we're only as strong as our audience here, and that's why I love doing this callback show to put voices and faces to the names, so we can be one community here. So appreciate that. Sappy answer out of the way. What's your real answer?
Real answer. Well, you would think I would pick Yoda or Obi-Wan or one of the classics that we have, and you know what? Yoda is a favorite. Let's be clear, for all the reasons that were just said. But I want to go with a new one that I don't know if everyone would pick, and it's Kanan Jarrus, because you look at Kanan. There's so many things I love about Kanan as a mentor. One, he only had one key student. Throw Sabine in there a little. He trained her a little bit, but you throw in the track record, it's a little less dark than some of the other Star Wars mentorees. Hey, not completely their fault all the time. We all have a choice, don't we? But still, it's a better track record. But really what I love most about Kanan is just how, one, he's open and honest about how uncertain he is as a mentor. And I'll just say I've a mentor to quite a few people, shall we say, and it's one of those where, like, you once upon a time you would feel that the mentor has to know everything and that they're perfect, but that's just not the truth. And I don't think Obi-Wan or Yoda would ever claim they're perfect, but Kanan, I just always had the sense that he was honest with Ezra. Like, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I was a Padawan when all this fell apart. I have to figure this out as I go along. And I just really relate to that as someone who's like, I will mentor you, but I'm figuring this out part of the time myself. And that doesn't mean it can't achieve great things. It's just an honest reflection, and it's honest to meet each other both ways, because a mentor needs to be at equal level with their student, not above or the other. It needs to have balance, if you will.
Yeah.
I always love that. And I also just love some of the things he's always said. Like, once he was trying to teach Ezra about having to brave choices, even if they seem risky and there could be the potential of loss. And Ezra's like, I don't get it. And he said, quite frankly, I didn't understand it until now, trying to teach you. And it's just that reflective nature of how we don't understand the things we're being taught until when we're actually doing them. That's when it just comes full circle. I love when he's just how calm and patient he is with Ezra most of the time, trying to apply to his strengths while teaching him new things at the same time. And just the way Kanan grew as a mentor himself, while still, again, leading to the wonderful non-lightsaber using Force martial arts and peaceful, amazing beard loving Ezra that we saw in Ahsoka. What more words can I say? But no, Kanan just hits me so hard when I think of him in these ways, and so that's why I think he's a wonderful mentor, and I really do relate to him. But yes, Yoda is also amazing. He has quotes out the wazoo that I will use day in and day out.
Yeah, as we should. No, I love this answer. I know people in chat agree with you too. Of not only just Kanan as a mentor in Star Wars, but the journey he had, and we were. This is why I love when we get to explore Star Wars stories in different ways, whether it's animation, series, long form, even books. We eventually, I think, we'd get some of that time with Obi-Wan, the Clone Wars, mentorship. But I think there was something special about Kanan and Freddie Prinze Jr.'s just finding the heart and soul of this kind of drunk ne'er-do-well Jedi, former Jedi, out and about, and trying to connect with family and trying to heed the call as well. A reminder that the call continues and the call changes. I love what you're saying. Just having a real world conversation. even me as I approach the age of 50, like there's things that I thought I knew, but now I feel them differently. Now I understand them differently. Now I'm brave enough to put them into play in a way that I wasn't in the past. And I think sometimes even just as you get older and you face a new chapter in your life or a new role in someone else's life, like I can connect with Kanan over that, and that's part of the value. You mentioned the Sabine stuff. I think the Darksaber episodes are some of the Rebels, Star Wars Rebels' finest stories. But to me, so Sabine and T. Sagard just killing it in that role overall, but in those episodes, I love how they spend the time with confronting Kanan with what he feels or what he's been doing, both as Ezra's master and trainer and mentor, and what he might be or could be, maybe should be with Sabine. I think it's some valuable stuff there for the mentors at all of our ages and all of our steps.
And he shows also what you mentioned that because with Sabine, and also how sometimes in the episodes he's like she's so Mandalorian but again he's showing you can get frustrated and you can move on. It's okay to get frustrated as a mentor once in a while too. You don't have to be this calm, serene all the time because quite frankly, it's just not possible, but you don't have to give in to anger in the long run either. You feel it and then you move on.
Yeah, indeed. Jedi James, great as always. I appreciate it. Thank you for both answers and true, sincere. Thank you for sharing your appreciation for what we do here.
Thank you for doing it because I show up each week for a reason. So thank you.
Look, we ain't stopped. We can't stop. Maybe we've tried to. We can't. We're here. We're here forever. In a good way. Thank you, James. All right. Calls roll on. If you want to call into the show, you can be a Patreon supporter. Any level gets you the call-in link. As I always like to clarify, it is always going to be on Patreon. I don't put it in the Discord just because sometimes people can have access to it that maybe are no longer there, which is totally fine. But I think for this, we want to make sure it's people who decided to support directly. And we appreciate that. Great comments in there as well. We got Jared, Time Pilot. We got Dr. Addy, Eli lining up here as we go through the batting order here of calls. I wanted to get, where was, Alan Smithy with the great thank you, Alan, for the generous super chat. As always, Count Dooku was a mentor. He mentored Qui-Gon, Ventress, and Savage Opress. At least one of them turned out good, and he's referring to Ventress, of course. I actually, in a weird way, we don't like the end result of Count Dooku, but even those who go astray, I think, can speak some truth. And Qui-Gon, I think one of the compelling things about Count Dooku is along the way he says some things, whether it's the animated series, Attack of the Clones, Tales of, he says some things that you just kind of go, I get where he's coming from. He might be right, and it's about how you take it. And he lost his own way. So even in his mistakes, Dooku could mentor us there. And then Jared the Dark Jedi saying big facts on Kanan, and Yoda is great. I'll give him his flowers. Look, that's big when Jared could even give Yoda some flowers here today. I kid. Kelly kid, thank you for the generous super chat. Qui-Gon is my favorite mentor. Yeah, Qui-Gon is one of mine as well. And that kind of came later for me, and it's probably a little bit tied to my journey with my journey towards loving the Star Wars prequels that wasn't immediate and felt in 1999, but along the way appreciated them and loved those prequels, and Qui-Gon is one of the reasons. And having that moment too, when you kind of realize that Qui-Gon's the main character, the Phantom Menace, and I think there's some lessons to be found in that perspective as well there. So let's get a call here from the shirt-wearing Jared the TIE Pilot. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Well clothed today. Nice day off from work.
I know it's an inside joke that is more on the blathering than ForceCenter, but Jared is a free soul, and I can always see him. And when he calls in the blathering, sometimes,
You mean sometimes?
Shirts off, guns out.
Even when I'm on camera, sometimes I forget to put the shirt on. It's the neurospicy in me. I just don't like the clothes.
Hey, look, and you're also a rock star, so you get to wear what you want, I guess. There. Appreciate you calling in as always, buddy. What is your mentorship answer?
I got two I would say kind of left field ones. Honorable mention to Captain Rex. Rex is teaching a lot of good lessons to people around him, even though he's only a couple years old. Boy's seen some things and some stuff. He wouldn't recommend it.
Yep.
But my honest answer when I was thinking about this, because you go through all the, as everybody's already said, the top lists off the top of your head, but I gotta go with Hera Syndulla from Rebels.
Yeah.
I think that's not a lot of people would think about that one, but she's teaching Kanan the lessons he has to teach Ezra.
Mm-hmm.
And just the mom of the group, as she's called too, always making sure everybody knows their worth and knows to stay on the right track. She's got a lot to offer in that group.
I agree. I love that choice. Star Wars, like a lot of big pop culture stories or sagas or things we love to watch, can sometimes struggle, I think, with showing not just they show great examples, but not enough examples of motherhood. We have a lot of fatherhood, and that's big. Father son, father daughter relationships are big in life, but so are the mothers. And I think we got a pretty special one with Hera. That was this found family mother. Later in the series, as we know, in the end credits, she's a mother, but that's different, and we get to see that play out in Ahsoka as well, the series. But I think what you're talking about there is she's just more than just this mother role, the heart and soul of that, and through that, you don't even need to just bottle her up into the title of mother. But I think that's where a lot of the strength comes from, just watching this steadfast person that is a rock for everyone, and that is one of the big definitions of mentors. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And just that's a crazy family, the Rebels crew, the crew of the Ghost there. You got to give respect just the way she holds her mental health.
Yes.
Especially with her murderous, our favorite war criminal son, Chopper.
yeah. If Chopper's your best friend, you already got a full load. She could mentor just Chopper, indeed. No, absolutely.
I love all those. Oh, go ahead.
No, and I love your answer, Captain Rex, too. I was going to talk about that, but yeah.
I was going to actually add on to that because, like I said, just you go down the list and it's like you come up with all the favorites, but Star Wars is filled with so many good mentors, to even a ForceCenter favorite of Dexter Jettster.
Yeah.
Dropping bars and just making sure, putting Obi-Wan in check and back to reality, the difference between wisdom and knowledge.
Great. A favorite of ours for a reason, and Alan in chat says Dexter Jettster has mentored many space-based short-order cooks and dishwashers. This is true. And Jedi along the way. The Rex thing, to talk about Captain Rex for a moment, I think the relationship between him and Ahsoka is, a shared generational exchange as well, but also it's mentorship and constant action, and both provide things for each other. And it's just because it often is under the duress of war or serial adventure fun. I just really appreciate Rex being there, and the line. He doesn't have as much time to be as impactful as other mentors. He can't sit down and have a campfire conversation because there's laser bolts over his head. So it's a different kind of mentorship as well.
It definitely is.
Right.
Well, we'll keep it moving. You guys stay safe as always.
Absolutely. Thank you, my shirt-wearing friend. Thank you. Next up, Dr. Addy. We got Eli, then Brennan calling in as well. Good calls from Ben. I got some guy named Alden calling in here. That's gonna be fun. We're talking about mentors in Star Wars. It's ForceCenter now, here live on a Friday. If you want to call in, become a Patreon supporter at patreon.com/ForceCenter, or just put something in chat too. You don't have to be a supporter there to join the conversation. A lot of great conversation in chats. Happy to have new people in here. Again, shout out to Evie coming in comments, full energy. Happy to be here as well with all of you in chat. Callie Kidd saying, I love seeing Qui-Gon in the end of Kenobi, favorite Star Wars series. Yep, I'm right there with you. I love the Kenobi series, and right there with you on that moment at the end, which we all kind of hoped had happened, had thought was happening, heard was happening, and then it happened, and it worked really well. Let's keep the calls going here. Again, if you're calling in and your camera is on, that means you're agreeing to our terms of service. What are our terms of service? I don't know. Whoever reads the fine print. But it's just letting me know that you're okay with being on camera. And our next call comes from one of our favorites around these parts. It is Dr. Addy, our resident professor of smart things over in the Blathering world. Thanks again for explaining how we're getting back to the moon on yesterday's show, Addy. But what's your thoughts here today?
Well, thank you for having me, Ken, as always. This is an excellent segue because you were just talking about one of my two picks, and that is Qui-Gon.
Love it.
Specifically, there's two Qui-Gon things that I really appreciate. One is the quote that your focus determines your reality. That is something that I constantly bring up in my own life, just as sort of like a reminder to myself that, especially when things are hard, that like your focus determines your reality. So if you live in the bad, it's going to be a little bad. If you try to find some good, you might get some good. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I have that one on a computer desktop to remind me.
But I really appreciate him showing up at the end of Kenobi, not just for like the awesome moment that it was and the squealing on the couch that occurred, but because throughout that entire series, I think it's part of what makes Qui-Gon a great mentor, because throughout that entire series, Obi-Wan is trying to get Qui-Gon to give him the answers and to talk to him because he doesn't know what he should do. And one of the hallmarks of a great mentor is letting your students flounder for a little bit and figure it out themselves. And I really appreciate the fact that he does not answer Obi-Wan's call until Obi-Wan has figured it all out. And now he can be like, yeah, what took you so long?
I love that. And I want to ask you, if as much as you're willing to talk about what you do, one of the many things you do professionally in terms of teaching students, you have an interesting and valuable perspective on that. I really did love that too. And it made a lot of sense just from the beginning of the show, and Obi-Wan calling for that help. And I don't even think tough love describes it. It's just the journey, and it paid off very well for me. But anyways, have you employed that as a teacher of young adults?
I try to as much as I can. I fail more frequently than I would probably like to, just because I don't like watching my students struggle, but it is necessary. It's necessary to the learning experience. And it's just like, it's how you grow, is to figure it out for yourself. It's something I try to do. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Whether or not I'm always successful is another story.
Yeah. Well, and you're a person with kindness and care in your heart. So if you see someone on the cusp of getting it, I'm sure you might want to not see them flounder for a while, but I think it's valuable. I think that's great perspective to the mentor conversation. Exactly what Qui-Gon was doing in there. You said you had a couple. Who's your other mentor?
My number one is General Leia Organa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Specifically, General Leia Organa. Leia, of course, always, a great role model, but in that mentorship role that she played in the Resistance, of being, having been there before, having done this before, as exhausting as I'm sure that was to deal with. But the role that she played mentoring Poe, mentoring Rey, and just being sort of the mother of the Resistance. And that strength that she had to have, especially knowing that they were fighting her son.
Yeah. No, I love the, Joseph has said it so well in the past, but just part of the, especially going into Force Awakens, was allowing these characters to be older, right? And that's something that's not always done in stories and Hollywood and all that kind of stuff. But I think to see Leia having gone through all of it and still being there for these next generation of fighters and having some of the best advice, you have everything you need, is something that has resonated with me that I heard in the film. I've heard in my own life, but I haven't connected to it until recently. So a reminder that the journey is always going, the lessons always continue. And it was just great to have Carrie in that role, of course, and tragedy at the end of that journey. But someone who has been through so much too. We could never pull her apart from Leia, as she always would joke. But it matched up nicely with a person who had been through so much and had, still going on, still learning, still struggling, but had emerged through it to get the other side, to have so much to say that people could listen to. And that was the character as well. Do you have favorite lines or moments from General Leia that you applied to your own life?
I think the "we have everything we need" moment is tops. There's a specific it's the practice I take from Leia. It's very weird. It's a very specific passage from The Princess and the Scoundrel, the book.
Great book.
And it's from Han's perspective, and it's talking about like it's the morning after might be their wedding, but or one of the nights on the I don't remember, but he's watching her braid her hair
Mm,
and
mhm.
talking about how that's how he knows she's about to become not his Leia, but like the galaxy's Leia. She's going to work and
Mm.
because she's braiding her hair.
Mm.
And for some reason, that has always sort of stuck out with me. I braid my hair frequently. And every morning when I do it, I think about the fact that, like, okay, it's time to work because she's braiding her hair.
Mm. Mm.
And that I know that's a really strange
No.
poll, but it's in my brain all the time.
No, I actually totally get it, and for those that have not had the chance to read *The Princess and the Scoundrel*, I think it was easy to maybe overlook it as a book. But Beth Revis, one of my favorite Star Wars writers, wrote it, and I think it was valuable to have that perspective written from Beth, written from a woman of just a kind of everything inherent in what you're saying there about Leia, but seeing it through Han's eyes. And I'm right there with you on. It's
And
almost Leia, not Leia masking up, but it's Leia
no, but
stepping up.
as a woman who also has to live in a man's world, which I think Leia did and did very well, like you do put on that armor, and that idea that like the way she does her hair is part of her armor for facing the world. Like
Mhm.
it means a lot to me. I don't know. It sounds really corny as I
No, it's not corny at all. Both what you're saying, what you're realizing, and the moment itself. So I think it's a great answer. Braids as armor.
braids his armor.
Braids
Exactly.
as armor. I love it. Addie, as always, appreciate you sharing the things you love in Star Wars, and I look forward to your next science lesson on whether or not aliens are real.
It's not whether or not aliens are real. It's the probability of life being out there.
Oh, okay. We'll
The
learn.
Goldilocks zone, Ken. The Goldilocks zone.
So if no one knows what we're talking about, head on over to my show, The Blather, and every Thursday, when possible, Addie has a great science lesson for all of us. Thank you, Addie, as always.
Anytime, Ken.
All right. Oliver asked this question. Do we think Bib Fortuna ever had any mentoring from Jabba? No. I'll tell you what, Jabba is the kind of boss that only shows up to criticize. I think that's how he ran things. There. We got calls lined up here from Eli, Brennan, Ben, Alden, and more coming in. Oh, I had you, which I'm not even saying it, and he taught us the other day. Let me catch up on some super chats here while we get Eli in here. Cali Kid again, Qui-Gon, my favorite mentor. James Holmes, Omega as a mentor to Crosshair? Yeah, I agree with that one. Crosshair, but that whole Bad Batch crew, man, Omega's right there. Detective McCarson, I'm excited to see Rey as a mentor one day. Absolutely. That's going to be something we're rooting for here. Phantom Otaku, thank you for not only your support here, but thank you for the support over on my ASMR channel you always give, Sports Card ASMR. The whole Ghost crew is great, but especially Hera. We agree with that as well. So let's dive into a call from Eli. Eli, how you doing, buddy?
Hey Ken, I'm doing good. The one I always come back to, and I'm stunned that this is the first mention that I've heard on this show. Even though Yoda is my favorite Star Wars character, I go back to who I consider my second favorite Star Wars character, and it's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
It was mentioned in comment only. First of all, I got to ask, as a friend of Jared the Dark Jedi and Yoda being your favorite character, how often do you get into text debates with him about Yoda?
How often do we text? Probably more often than quite often, honestly.
I think you guys should live stream the great Yoda debate. Anyways, I kid. Talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi and him as a mentor and what Obi-Wan Kenobi as a mentor means to you.
What I keep going back to with Obi-Wan, on my show we just did we're doing Rebels, right? We're covering Rebels right now, and we just did Twin Suns, which is where some of my favorite Obi-Wan wisdom comes from.
Yeah.
One of the things I think makes Obi-Wan so great as a mentor is how observant he is. He's constantly paying attention and learning from the world, not just people, but like the world around him. He is There's this deleted scene that I saw recently from Revenge of the Sith that I'm thinking about, where it's a deleted scene with him and Anakin on the invisible hand, and Anakin and like there's a part of the ship that's threatening to like just launch out into space. And Anakin tries to seal it with his lightsaber, and Obi-Wan goes, you're a wise Jedi, Anakin, but you still have much to learn. That'll never hold. And then there's a beat, and then it holds perfectly, and he goes, well, it seems I still have much to learn. And there's something so humble about that, and something so like Obi-Wan will never. He's never the type to shoot first or strike first and ask questions later. He's constantly judging things around him. He has some great lessons for me about perspective, whether that's from Return of the Jedi. One of my favorite lines, Luke, you will find that many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view. He does some of that in Twin Sons. A lot of the things just that he says about how people should hold themselves, what standards people should hold themselves to, just really get me
That's great.
in everyday life.
And I think what you want out of a mentor is not someone who's like, hey kid, I got all the answers all the time. It is exchange. That's why I'm fascinated about how they're going to approach some of the stuff in Mandalorian Grogu. And I think and especially Kenobi is someone who messed up. Taking on Anakin as a trainee was noble and good and wise and what needed to happen, but his approach was a little off with it. Is more of a debt to Qui-Gon than a willingness or desire to train Anakin. All those kind of things. I think the mistakes, and even some of the mistakes he might make in the classic trilogy that are famous in terms of pop culture debates about the line you're talking about, and Yoda or Obi-Wan kind of smudging the truth a little bit, which has more to do with George changing some of the, of course, big elements of the story. But I think it's fun to analyze the mistakes of these mentors, and in those mistakes, you find the lesson. So Obi-Wan is a legendary pick. Anything else there on Obi-Wan?
Yeah, I was just thinking also about one of my favorite Star Wars series, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and how Obi-Wan is so reluctant to take this quest to go rescue Leia. He does not want to do it, but immediately within, I think this is already in part 2, he already drops, he rescues Leia, and then 5 minutes later drops the, what is Leia asks him what the Force feels like, and he says, he drops the, have you ever been afraid of the dark? What does it feel like when you turn on the light?
Yeah.
He can't help himself from being the mentor that he is. He can't resist it.
It's in his bones. It's in his DNA. It's in his force. Great.
Yeah.
You make me want to do a Kenobi rewatch, and I might. Eli, got calls lined up. I want to get to. I appreciate you calling in. Absolutely. As always, great answer.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Eli coming in here. We got Brennan, we got Ben, we got Alden, and let's bring in our buddy Brennan Mystical Mar. How are you doing, Brennan? I think I know who some of your mentors in Star Wars are, but I want to hear him.
Well, does Dr. Addie count?
Dr. Addie counts as a mentor.
She's a scientist.
Yep, she's a mentor.
And she's very smart, smarter than me.
This is true. So
she counts. But, and Qui-Gon, of course, we know.
Yeah.
As I've said many times, that your focus determines your reality.
Yeah.
As Laser pointed out in the chat, that is one of my favorite quotes.
Yeah. What can you talk a little bit about first hearing that, but also maybe first when you latched onto it as something that guided you forward?
Well, when I first heard the quote, I didn't think much of it.
Sure.
But it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I went, wait a minute, that's my philosophy.
Yeah.
But the one mentor that I wanted to reference, oddly enough, doesn't get talked about, and that's Marva Andor.
Marva Andor, great choice.
Yes. Certainly we've seen parental figures not really get to be parents in Star Wars.
Right.
But the person that she is, the feisty, grumpy old Irish lady.
The feisty rebel.
Yelling at everyone. the personality that you see from Cassian is from her, and
Right. Okay.
the fact that not only is she a great mentor to him, and she's a great mentor to the citizens of the galaxy, but a great mentor to us in real life.
What do you take from her?
My favorite part with her was the "That's just love" speech.
I'm glad you brought that up. There's a lot of great things from Marva, a lot of great things in Andor, the show overall. That's actually one of my favorite conversations.
The first time I saw that scene, I thought, this is a good scene.
Yeah, yeah.
The second time I watched it was after my grandma died. And it hit me, emotional gut punch then.
Sure.
And, because in many ways, that was my grandma's philosophy. I'm going to be worried about you because that's the way love works.
Wake up. Yeah.
And so say what you will about her political statements, which I agree with.
Yeah.
But her statements on love and what it means, and the opposite end of the spectrum would be, you see Cassian as a good mentor figure teaching him what love is.
Yeah.
On the other end of the spectrum, you get Cyril and his mother.
Yeah.
Or Dedra being raised by the system.
Yeah, indeed.
You get these cold-hearted people who have no idea how to love.
So true. Yeah.
Obviously, their relationship is not built on love.
No.
But you look at Cassian, you look at Bix, who Marva was also a mentor to.
Indeed.
And you see that there's the word I used yesterday.
Yeah.
Wholesome, but I don't mean the wholesome family values.
No.
I mean it the way kids use it. But Marva is a character that of a lot of heart.
Yeah. No, this is great stuff, Brett. And I think in a show, Andor, that is so much about resistance and rebellion. And
I hope that everyone has a Marva in their life.
We all could use a Marva. But yeah, in a show that's about all those things that it needs to be about, those things, at the center of it is this conversation about love and love
shout
and
out to
connection.
Fiona Shaw.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, Fiona Shaw, indeed, as Eli put it. Brennan, I appreciate you sharing that, buddy. It's a great answer.
Thank you.
All right, Brennan Mystical check him out on this podcast, The Page Turners They Were Not. Alan Smithy brings a good example in here, or a question. Was Poe Dameron a mentor to Kazuto Zioto? Resistance reference, never mind. We love Star Wars Resistance here, and I think Poe does count as a mentor to Kaz, as does O'Peepit. So there you go. Yeah, James says there's a great shot. Almost forgotten about Marva there. Let's get a call from Ben. Then we got Alden, then Ihansha. Ben, you're on. Sorry, I jumped. I caught you off guard. I was staring at your Green Bay Packers posters. Please tell me the Miami Dolphin new head coach is going to be good. He was the Packers D coordinator. We okay? Let's talk sports. We okay?
We are sorry to have lost him. His track record as a college head coach is not exactly inspiring.
Yeah,
it's going to depend on your players.
We don't.
Please give Malik Willis lots and lots and lots of money so we get a higher compensatory pay.
Yeah, we don't have the money to give him. ForceCenter Sports Center talk here today. Go Lions, says Laserbolt. Thank you for the inside information from Green Bay. Ben, what's your answer, man? Good to have you here today. Where you go?
I'm going to go with a little bit off the beaten path. I'm going to say Hondo.
Ooh, I like that.
Reason being that the vast majority of the mentors that we get in Star Wars, good guys, bad guys, whatever, their teaching is so mission focused. It's very plot dependent. It's okay, you learned this and now it helps us, it helps me if you're evil, that kind of thing.
Right.
What I like that's different about Hondo is his sheer delight when somebody he has taught or just spoken to picks up on something. And it doesn't necessarily have any, often with Ezra or with Boba in that little scene where he shows up with Aura Singh. It doesn't. These people aren't acting in Hondo's favor, and he's just happy when they're taught, and just the sheer delight that he shows from the act, from seeing that somebody has learned. Yeah. Even if the things that you learn from Hondo aren't necessarily things that you probably should learn, just how proud he is of his people is something that I wanted to shout out, just because it's not the same thing as we're seeing elsewhere.
I think that's a great answer. At Channel 19, Dave reminds us that if we say Hondo's name again, we'll summon PLD, Paul from PLD Productions, and his Hondo watch that continues in Star Wars live action or even animation. I think this is a great answer. This is why I love discussing Star Wars and getting the different perspectives. I think when I think of Hondo as a mentor, I go straight to that Boba Fett conversation about honor, about his father. And Hondo is, Hondo's got a little blurred resume. He's a complicated friend or fellow to hang around with. He's done some things, right? But the fact that they were able to find the heart in that character all the way through, but when he first shows up, right, he's kind of menacing. I think he's a little bit more of a straight up villain upon arrival, but they found so much more to do with him. They found that character's heart. They found that character's honor, and for him to be able to pass on, like you said, advice in the most weirdest of Star Wars situations is a great answer. So I think you get a point for Hondo.
He deserves as many of them.
He does indeed. Any other Star Wars mentors that you gravitate to?
There's a bunch that there's always something good going on. We just covered Obi-Wan and the degree to which we get to see him evolve in his approach is something that we don't really see too much with anybody else. I mean, the only other person who does mentoring over anywhere near the same amount of time is our old buddy Sheev, and he didn't learn shit. Excuse me. But
that's true.
But yeah, it's gonna.
That needs to be. Is that a ForceCenter T-shirt? Sheev, he didn't learn shit. I think we could make money on
that. I mean, his people did learn what they were taught.
But, yeah, they learned hard lessons. They heard hard lessons with him. Wonderful stuff. Great answers all around, Ben. I appreciate you. Got some calls to get to, so I want to get to those before we get out of here, but I appreciate you sharing.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. There you go, Ben there. Let's got super chats and get all that in here. And we got this great one from Alan Smithy. Thanks again for the super chat. Shout out to Balin Skoll and the late, great Ray Stevenson is a mentor to Shin Hati. Not a good guy or bad guy, but a great guy in real life. Talk about Ray Stevenson, the loss. I'm definitely looking forward to Rory McCann stepping into the role. I think he's a great performer, but we miss Ray. And one of my favorite Star Wars characters, Laserbolt, says, I would take advice from R2. He's been around a long time and always does the right thing. I think, I don't disagree with that at all. R2 is the guy that's good in a bar and good at any situation, especially getting you out of it. Though he might occasionally start his own problem. Let's take a call from Alden Diaz here from Anytime with Ken and Alden. We've seen a lot of each other today, but glad to have you here, buddy. Welcome to the show.
Hey, pal. Anytime with Ken and Alden. I hear that's good.
We had a good conversation today, I think, about therapy and everything there.
I think it's part of this.
Yeah. I say this conversation today, the Star Wars mentorship, actually inspired by just kind of your relationship to the Mandalorian and Grogu, not just the film, but them as characters and their relationship as mentor, father, son, however you want to look at it. So those don't have to be your answers. But with that movie coming out, I think this will be explored. So where do you want to go, and what are your thoughts on those characters as mentors and mentees?
Yeah, so I showed up backstage about 30 minutes in. So if they've already been covered, I don't want to like step on anyone's points. Nope. I just didn't hear your points. Okay, cool. So I will talk about Din and Grogu while I was backstage. Though I do want to give a quick shout out. I haven't finished it yet, but I am reading / listening to Low Red Moon by Mike Chen, which is the Outlaws prequel. It in and of itself is not really an example because it's a toxic, not good criminal thing. It's really interesting. It's not a relationship you should root for. But in Outlaws, you will note that Kay Vess doesn't really have any good mentors. And she actually has the only legitimately bad, like the point of the story is that she's a bad mom in all of Star Wars. It was kind of like representation for young women that have a difficult relationship with their mother.
Yeah.
Until you realize ND5 is kind of her mentor. Even though he couldn't fully be a person, he kind of is her mentor. So that's a side note I just wanted to throw in there.
I love it.
For Outlaws
Hey, look,
players,
you put on a good jacket if you're robot or not. You're a mentor.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, he looks like you'd want to follow him.
But
so Din and Grogu. Yeah, you and I've talked about talked a lot about them on air, off air.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, I made a playlist for the two of them that I sent you. That is like the story of their relationship and songs, and they mean a lot to me. I think a lot about them, and I will start my point about them with my favorite scene, one of my favorite scenes in Star Wars. Very underrated scene. Maybe I've mentioned it in a call before. I don't know, but it's in season 3. We're retaking Mandalore. All the factions have come together, including the under-discussed third faction of people who never left, the Wasteland, with Charles Parnell and those other actors in there. The guy from Breaking Bad, I forget the gentleman's name. And all 3 of these groups are together now, and they're all trying to observe each other's traditions. And then there's Grogu, and he's got the IG. What is that? IG 12 at that point. He's got the IG 12 that he's walking around in. And Din and Bo are kind of observing the situation, and then a fight breaks out. And it's between, of course, Paz Vizsla and the last character that George Lucas ever named, Act Woes. And that fight breaks out, and they all sit back because they're like, well, challenge got laid out. We can't interfere, even though we are obviously at the point now where everyone, including the viewer, knows it would be really stupid to have been fighting right now. We are literally on the home world. The enemy is like 2 miles up the road. It would be so horrible for this fight to break out, and they're going to let it happen. And then Grogu doesn't. Grogu steps in and breaks it up. And what's amazing about the moment is that it's not like everyone pats Din on the back and says, wow, good job on you for raising a son that, not even a son, for mentoring this foundling. At that point, it's not his son yet. For mentoring this foundling to showing us a better way. It's not that simple. It's that they do clock it, and Din doesn't take credit for it, even though if you watch the series, he should. He says he didn't get that from me, but really he did. Din thinks that it had to have been Luke Skywalker or maybe something from someone he never knew from years back. But it is him, man, because all you've shown him throughout the whole show is that you are the great unifier. You're not supposed to be on the throne. That's a different job. But you are the glue. We only can communicate with the Tuskens because of you. We can only communicate with the Ugnaughts because of you. We can only see the value in Peli because of you. Boba Fett and Fennec only come to the table because of you. I could go on all day. Yeah, that's the point of the show. It is because of you. You're a good dad, and that's why when you finally adopt him, it's not let's start now. It's just you sort of like Catholic christening what you've already been doing. And it is on him. And I'm saying Luke didn't help because the frog thing is important and everything's important there. But Luke is the B player in that situation easily.
Totally. Absolutely. No, no, that's a great way to look at it there. And what is that to you when you're either looking for mentors, have mentors, or trying to mentor yourself? What is the lesson you take from in your own life from Star Wars and Din in that moment?
I think it's that ability to see. I think it's easy to say, look for a mentor that shows you what people have in common. I think that's really good. I think that's really easy and probably more accessible. But I think what Din does is that he gets to the more challenging, like expert version of that, which is, what we have in common is really good. But you should also look at what does make us different. And if you choose to internalize that negatively, that's a personal problem. But it doesn't have to be negative. It is different. Like when he steps in and is like, this is how the Tuskens, communicate with homeboy Cannavale, Jake Cannavale, what's his name? Oh, Toro
Calican,
who I've buried so far in my memory bank. Toro Calican doesn't understand it, obviously, he's a jerk. But Din isn't saying like they're just like you, Toro. He's saying they're not, and respect that.
Yes,
and that's a mentor. Like I grew up around my friends' parents who were Jewish, my friends' parents who are Muslim. My it's that same idea of like, you yeah, it's cute and it's good for kids, especially to be like, we are all the same. And it's like, no, you should be mature enough to know that we're not all the same. And can you walk through the world and have courtesy?
Yeah,
that's what Grogu has learned. That's what the whole thing about like, not to relitigate Egggate, but like that's why if people had waited a week, they would see that there was a lot more to offer there, because what he is doing is wrong. He's a baby, he doesn't know, but it's wrong. Din makes a point that it's wrong, and then the very next week, Bryce Dallas Howard takes the ball and says, "Here you go. Here's the slam dunk." It's that he gets to now see what that means for that family. He gets to be in their home, watching their miracle of life. He sees it, and then all of a sudden, it's different.
Yeah,
and it's like, yeah, because you spent time away from the job in a frog house for like an hour. Like, why don't you like learn something? Take your shoes off. That's because of his father.
I asked and answered and great, and I think you were pretty close in that sports reference. I think the slam. I think you're there. I think yeah.
Like if Peyton Reed like what was a pass slam, that's something.
Yeah, touchdown, hole in one. No, absolutely, man. As always, your answers speak to some great themes and how they connect. So I'm looking forward to explore. Final thing for you, coming into this film, coming out, The Mandalorian Grogu. We know that the trailer has made it pretty clear what Din might be struggling with at points during the movie, if not one of the main through lines thematically of, he's going to live past me for centuries. What does that mean? How did I position him for that? How do I accept that as a mentor? What are you looking for in this film to touch upon for the mentor relationship, father and foundling, however you want to describe it?
Yeah, that, as you know, from making the mistake of giving me your phone number, that like really rocked me in the trailer, even though it's obvious.
Right.
Even though it's obvious, you will note that in 3.5 seasons, they never touch on it. That was a really easy card to play for drama between Din and Grogu that they never use. There's never a storyline, even when they get like into the Imperial base with Grief and Kara and get all the data on Grogu. There's never like a learn more about his species or what that means. He knows he's long lived, but he never digs deeper than that. Right. And now that he adopted him, it starts to become front of mind, because now it's not we're on a quest that will eventually end. It's there's going to be a day where my son probably has to take care of me and watches me die. And the sad element of it, even for this species that Din is reckoning with, even just in a 2-minute trailer, is that it's not like, like happens in us as humans. Like, you will ultimately be less than 1/10 of what his experience could be in life. And you will be essentially like the one who opened the door for things that you can't even conceive of. And as Star Wars fans know how much can happen like in that gap. Like, we're talking about what Yoda has seen, like, but the High Republic Yoda is already old. Like, that's what we're talking about for Grogu. And so it started to put me in a really contemplative place. And I think that Favreau, whether people like it or not, is he puts his own spirituality in there. Filoni takes his own, Tolkien influences in there. And a lot of that is about like, watch Rings of Power. They opened like the elves didn't even have a concept of what dying was. And they had to learn to let go of each other. I don't think it's going to be a heavy 3-hour epic about death. No, but I do think that it means something. Like, conservatively, the character of Mando is like 35, but like if you want to get like honest about it, he's probably pushing like 45, 50s. Like, Din's getting up there, depending on what you think, and if time even matters. So like I that's what I'm excited for, and I think you can only get that here. I know people will always have a feeling of, could this have been the 4th season? Should it have been? Kind of irrelevant to the point, though, that you do need the 3.5 that we had for this to make emotional sense for me. Like, it's not a problem that you are talking about when he's still work. I agree. No, I agree with that. Well said. I appreciate it as always, buddy. And go out and mentor someone today. What? I don't know. What am I saying? No, go mentor Jared the Dark Jedi on his Yoda takes. I should mentor him on how to win trivia matches. All right. We get out of here. See you, buddy. Alden Diaz, everybody. Catch Alden and I every Friday morning, 11 a.m. Pacific on Anytime with Ken and Alden. We got Hansha coming up here next.
Mr. LD Speed says, Plo Koon is a great mentor in Clone Wars. He gives good advice to Boba in one episode, and Ahsoka as well. It comes off as patient, comforting, calm. I think that is a great answer. Love Plo Koon and his little Ahsoka kind of vibes. So wonderful. Thank you for the generous super chat there. All right, final. Well, we're here for a couple more minutes, and then I got to go eat lunch. I just had 2 cookies for lunch today. That's not a meal. Hadja, that's not a meal. 2 cookies are not a meal for men of advancing years.
No. You really need to go and get yourself sorted there, young man.
Yeah. Appreciate you checking in from across the many ponds. What are your favorite Star Wars mentors?
Well, I just wanted to raise 2 that I haven't heard mentioned so far, and they're directly behind me. It's all about the Acolyte.
Nice.
There's 2. The first one is Sol, because it was a beautiful example of a mentor and how he portrayed the character and the flaws that we saw progress and the impact it had on him, the emotion and what he carried, whilst
That's
fundamentally being an amazing mentor too, but flawed. That was great for me. And then also on the other side completely is the Stranger and how he's mentoring Osha. But what I find most intriguing and something I've been really looking forward to see in Star Wars is the fact that it's all about temptation and desire and wants and stuff. So there's that angle to it as well. And it's kind of, just being, seduction, temptation and all of that. It was flirtatiously fabulous. And I just really want more of that.
You want more? You want more flirtatiously fabulous Star Wars. I think there's a lot of people. I think Jen Landa, if she was here, Jen Landa would be clapping and agreeing with you about the Stranger at Osha, Chimere. Great answers. And look, I think one of the greatest things that I'll always take from the Acolyte, and I think it's just a big bummer we didn't get to explore it more and let that show really get its legs. Is kind of what you're talking about, some of the flaws, some of the, I don't want to say gray areas in that pop culture podcasty punditry way, but just the show asked questions, and unfortunately didn't get to answer all of them. And it asked questions in a way that makes you analyze, like, what is a mentor? What is a flaw? Addie says in chat, Sol's a great example of a realistic mentor. We're often flawed. The Jedi themselves were flawed. Does that mean you should toss them aside? What's true in what Chimere's saying? What is a stretch? What is seduction? And the show was bold enough to ask these giant questions. So I can tell that's why one of the reasons you like this series.
Yes, no, definitely, yeah. So there we go. That's my little mentoring 2 penner from Scotland.
From Scotland, okay. I just found out a good friend of mine from back in the day in the comedy world. He lives out in Scotland, and he was like, Ken, you should come out and do the Scotland comedy scene. You'd have a good time. So, if I come on out there, you and I are I don't know what your normal Friday night snack is, but we're going to have to figure that out.
Well, talking of comedy, I do some work on the scene, sign language interpreting. So I do some stand-up comedy interpreting, and I love it. It's fabulous. It's really good fun.
That's amazing.
Yes,
That's
I've got
awesome
a friend who's kind of, he's amazing. Yes, but anyway, I'll let you get on because you need to eat, young man.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I had to check it in here today. And great conversation with all of you there. David agrees that I should do that. My friend Brian is like, you'd kill it out here. So we'll see. I'll see if Franny wants to go. Franny, do you want to go to Scotland? I don't know if she does. Hey, I appreciate all of you. End of a long, fun, but also trying week for me. And I love sliding into the chair. I love obviously doing that with Joseph and Jennifer, but both out today. And I just, I knew you all were going to step up and have some wonderful thoughts on this conversation and this big question about your favorite Star Wars mentor. So thank you all for doing that. We'll be live next week. I'll figure out the topic. And hey, tell you what, if there's something you all want to talk about here on Force Center now and call in about, let us know. Let us know what you want. This will be fun. So I appreciate it for those that are just swinging through. And shout out again to Evie joining the conversation day in chat. We love new names popping up in here. If you are interested in supporting or finding out more what we do, you can go to Patreon at patreon.com/ForceCenter. Podcast is available everywhere. Don't forget, on Sundays, audio only, we re-release our show Databank Brawl, where we go into the absolutely silly world of fictitious Star Wars fights. You can find us on social media at ForceCenter Pod. And follow me at Cadnapsock. I keep referencing it today, but we have a fun time over at the Blathering Live on my YouTube channel. So find me under my name and join us Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays for that live call-in show as well. All right. As Oliver, was it Oliver that you said in chat? It's not lunch until you have a burrito, right? Yeah, there it is. Oliver says, it ain't lunch till you had a burrito. I'm going to go have a frozen burrito. This has been a lot of fun. We'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.